So the point was just to change it up some, be a little different with it. Not bad for my first time. I do love how they say you cannot reuse the front sight, but you can if you take it off properly. In the last episode, I don't know if I recorded it, you can basically, like I did here, you just heat the screwdriver and you press the plastic up a little bit and you can pull out some of the plastic. And then all you do is when you push it back in, you just heat it and mush all the plastic back out. And then you don't have to epoxy it, you don't have to super glue it, because some people are saying, oh, well, actually a lot of people were saying, you can't reuse it because it's pressed in, like there'll be a tab and then it heats it down and mushes it. Mushes the plastic to hold it. But you can. You just don't cut off all the plastic. So, that's done. Hopefully tomorrow I won't still be dizzy and won't still be sick, because if you remember where we left off last week, and it's just like less than 12 hours later, I still feel like crap. So, I don't know. So we started off by hitting up the passenger side over fender, getting just a nice, almost one piece of glass layer across it. Reason we did that is actually pretty simple. It's to get everything kind of ready to start building up that leading edge so that I can sand it all smooth and get to the back side and kind of sand it and reinforce all it, because it needs to be reinforced just in case we run over a cone auto crossing or something. I'd rather the whole thing not just come apart. So it's step one. The other side, Marina tackled it and was sanding on it, trying to smooth out the radius of it and get it ready for actual filler, because right now we're using like a kitty hair, which is, we're using short strand, so it's just like chopped up fiberglass in Bondo almost. But it works great, and she tackled that for a while. Then the fun part came. The trunk and the door. Yeah, that's exactly how that one turned out. My $20 Harbor Freight air sander finally gave up the ghost. It just, maybe that's why they clearanced them. I mean, you gotta think, a couple years ago they were like $60, $70, $80 or something like that. and they came out with the new one, which is 100, and then clearance this one for 20. Coming out with their better tool line, and from what I hear, the new one does work really good, but this was like $17 or something. I mean, it was something stupid. It gave me an idea. It was worth buying to see if I liked it enough to actually buy one. So I'll probably go down eventually at some point and actually buy one. But as it sits right now, that one's toast. There's nothing left of it. Like, it's locked up. It's dead. And yes, I kept it oiled. And yes, I tried everything to keep water out of it. And I did keep water out of it. But yeah, it is what it is. It pooed. So we moved on to hand sanding. And that's basically where we're at now. I am so close on the trunk. You're talking minute highs and lows that I'm just kind of playing around with and working around it, putting real thin layers. And you saw the method I was using, where I was using a stir stick to make sure it was going on a wide area. So I was just filling in just real minute pieces of low spots. And I found a bunch of high spots, and that's kind of what made it take this much longer. The door, I think, is on its final sand. I went ahead and had to tear out some of the Bondo or the body filler out of it, because I don't know if it's when I'm mixing it, it's not, I'm trying to mix less hardener in it, and I think I'm at that kind of trouble spot where you don't quite have enough to mix in evenly, but you also am still at the point where it's still drying too quick. This stuff is drying a lot faster than the other brand that I was using before, but it sands really nice, so I'll give it that. It's a little bit more pain in the ass to work with, but it does sand really nice. The whole idea behind all this is to make it a piece of art, but also function. Same goes for the front end. We started mapping out everything that's going to be done in the front end, started doing all the measurements. The factory front half doesn't really matter. I know a lot of people measure that front half and use that as a guide, but everything's going to be custom up front. So the front bumper's got to come forward. We test fitted the hood, James and I did. The front bumper's got to come forward like 4 inches. So that's going to throw everything off and everything else. So it's just kind of easier for now. We're just going to start from scratch. And when we get the bumper at the angle we want it, we'll build a jig to hold the bumper up in place exactly where it needs to go, and then we'll build the fenders into it from there. I'm hoping it turns out good. The good news is that front piece that's going to hold everything together will be adjustable at the very end, so that when we put everything on, I can go ahead and not weld it to the bolt-off piece and just get it where it's kind of where it needs to be, sitting in the jig, and we can move the jig in and out where we need to, and then trim where we need to get the bumper to sit perfect, and then we can weld it. You'll see when we get there, but it's pretty cool. We've been mapping out how the bars are going to go, how the front end's going to unbolt, so that the motor, transmission, everything can pretty well come straight out. Actually, it will come straight out. We might have to kind of angle it a little bit, but it's not like most cars where you got to lift it up and take it out like that. It'll literally just, you unbolt everything and slide it right out the front, and that's the whole point. We're going to do a little bit of firewall work. I need to order, well, when we get to the wiring, these weird plug thingies. I don't remember what they're called. We're using one of them for the motor. The body harness and everything else will go up to the factory location. No big deal, because we want the motor to just unbolt, pull out. And there's a lot of steps into making where it unbolts and pulls out, because the wiring, some of it will come back into the car, right? Because the ECU and all that's going to be inside the car. So the issue with that is then you'd have to pull it all through the firewall. We don't want to have to pull it through the firewall. We literally want to undo a connector and it's done. So we're working out the kinks on it and figuring out how that goes. But for now, I would like to thank everybody for checking out this episode, and I hope you enjoy the project. We're just tired of sanding. I mean, that's what it breaks down to. You can still hear my voice. I'm not sick anymore. It's just leftover allergy crap. But everything's but. I don't know. I guess I'll get to editing and get this episode ready to go.